Good afternoon and welcome to Pay Entry's weekly webinar. Today's webinar is on handling open enrollment in a virtual environment. And that's something that is on top of us right now because it is open enrollment season. I'm Kathy Graham. I'm head of the HR services area, and I want to welcome you today and thank you for spending time with us. You will receive a copy of this recording after the webinar is over. And if you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the question box on your screen so that I can read and answer those at the end of this session. As I mentioned, we're handling open enrollment right now in a virtual environment, most of us. A lot of employers have employees that are remote, working from home. Some companies like ours are totally remote, and we do have an office still, but most employees are in their houses, still using our equipment and security, and where everything seems to be, our communication actually is better than it was when we before we went out on this virtual response to COVID-19. So today, let's go over a few things about open enrollment. You know, employee benefits are complicated. That's really an understatement. And for those of you who have to deal with open enrollment every year and answering questions and following up on forms and et cetera, then you'll understand where I'm coming from. I did that for years in my experience in human resources. No employee understands what they have until they go to use it and it doesn't cover that, or it doesn't cover it at 100%. Nobody knows what a copay is. Nobody knows what a deductible is. So they don't understand benefits. And a lot of employees don't, not just the ones who are rank and file. Your managers don't know, so they can't answer the questions either. And then once a year, everyone waits until the last minute and they either make the same choice as they did last year, but they wait till the last minute to do it. So you're screaming at them that there's a deadline. They lose the paperwork, or they swear they never got the paperwork in the first place. And those are the scenarios that I encountered as a human resources manager. One of the other things we know is that employee benefits are expensive. If an employee makes the wrong choice and doesn't really need the coverage that they've chosen, it can cost them and the employer a lot more. Sometimes a high deductible plan is the best and most economical choice for an employee and the employer, but the employee is still clinging to a more expensive plan that's not really in line with their actual needs. And so they're wasting premium dollars and the employer's wasting premium dollars, and they're not really utilizing the benefits. Helping employees make wise choices results in happier employees when they get ready to use the benefit. So all of this goes in line with the way that you communicate your benefits and how you communicate with employees. It's critical now, especially in today's workplace, because of the stress that people are under, even if they aren't working remotely. There's still additional stress in the environment that we live in today. There are also, if those people that work for you are remote, they may have children that need to go to school and can't. So they have virtual schools and virtual work at the same place, and it gets very stressful at times. You also have different generations in your workplace today. I don't know what they call the youngest ones now, but you know, we started out with the baby boomers and the millennials and Generation X. I'm not sure where we are now on that scale, but you're communicating with different age groups out there, and each age group has different ways that they communicate. Some younger people do not communicate in any other way other than text. They don't know how to pick up the phone and have a conversation. But all in all, most people have become accustomed to looking at videos online and doing some things online, even with the baby boomer generation. You also have those people who are remote versus those in the office, and there could be a mix of those at your company. And then add to that varying levels of understanding and education about benefits and what they really need and what they're really purchasing. So you want to know whether should we do this electronically or should we use paper? Well, you actually cannot use an electronic process for sending out your enrollment materials unless you follow the established guidelines that the Department of Labor has placed regarding the communication of employee benefits or benefit plan information. Employees have to regularly use a computer for their daily work. And that means like you or I sit at our computer all day long, we work. But if you have someone that works out in a service truck or on the line out in the, I'm sorry, a line out in the shop, then they may not have access to a computer during the daytime, or they do not have access to computers. You can't use a kiosk in this thing. It has to be, the person has to use a computer in their daily work in order for this to work. Or your alternative is that the employee can consent in writing to receiving electronic delivery of these materials at their home email address. So you have those two options. The second one, where they can consent in writing, requires that you keep track of that. If their email address changes, they need to notify you. If anything changes about the enrollment, there are certain notifications that the employer is responsible to. So it can be kind of a nightmare or a little bit of a headache for those who are, trying to track this. And I also wanted to mention, if you have any trouble hearing me or any trouble with the presentation not moving along as it should during this presentation, please let me know in the questions box and I can fix that for you. Okay, so first of all, you have to decide if you can send it via electronic. Um, the other thing you need to do is make your open enrollment easy this year. You can hold every year, you can hold an active or a passive enrollment. And an active enrollment requires that employees complete the forms even if they're not making any changes. They obviously have to change their flexible spending account elections because those have to be changed every year. But everything else, if they're leaving their medical, their dental, life, everything else is the same, and you require them to complete the forms regardless, then that is an active enrollment and requires extra effort on their part. If you conduct a passive enrollment, that allows the employees to do nothing if they want everything to stay the same. And you have to be clear in communicating that to them so that they don't misunderstand. But it would be a way to handle the enrollment and make it a lot easier for them and for you. Because if you require them to do active forms under an active enrollment and they're not making any changes, they could still make errors on the paperwork. So that's something to consider. Minimizing decisions that an employee has to make will give them peace of mind, and it will ensure a seamless transition into next year's benefit plans. And that's what we're all after in an open enrollment season. Another way other than enrollment on a virtual basis, I'm sorry, not a virtual basis, but on an electronic basis, is mailing the information to their home. That's how we used to do it back in the old days, or handing it out at work, which you can still do. Obviously, mailing it's the most expensive because you have postage and printing costs. But studies have shown that if you mail it to the home, more employees read it, and that the spouse may actually be the decision maker and she may not be aware that it is open enrollment season and decisions have to be made. If you do this, you need to make sure that the packet includes all the notices that are required under ERISA. Many of them would be in your summary plan description or your plan information that you send to employees, but there are several notices that are required at the same time that you send this packet out that need to be included. You might want to include a return postage paid envelope or instructions if the materials are the instructions for them to do online entry. That's fine. Don't worry about the envelope, but otherwise people will say they didn't have the money to mail it or they weren't sure about where to mail it, that kind of thing. So just if you're going to make them mail it back to you, give them a return postage paid envelope. All of this is trying to make it easier for them to complete their enrollment and make it easier on you to track it and get it back on time. So, back in the old days, we did have donuts and coffee, and we called everybody into the break room, and the broker came out and they gave a song and dance about the new benefit plans, and that's how we handled open enrollment. And then you waited around to get the forms back. Well, now a lot of companies are using one of the video conferencing pieces of software out there, Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, to conduct virtual benefit presentations. And I want to let you know that your broker or your consultant, sometimes they are called broker consultants, should do this for you. You are paying your broker money. They get paid to sell you insurance. So they should be doing things for you, like putting on a presentation in front of your employees, or maybe doing a slide presentation and a recording that you could play for your employees several times during a week. The slide presentation that they put together could review current benefits and any changes. And then if they're doing it in person, then you can record the session for use at a later time or for remote employees. Make sure you record it because it does also help when you have a new hire. You can use the recording to show them what your benefit plans are all about. And if your broker won't help you with this kind of thing, please let me know. I can help you with it or get you started in the right direction. Another thing that you want to do is get creative. I saw something in a SHRM article where someone set up or established a benefits cafe where you encourage the employee to sit down at the kitchen table, pour themselves a cup of coffee, and listen into the presentation. They can also invite spouses or others in the family that help make these decisions. And I was talking to someone, one of our clients today. She was wishing that this seminar had come out a little bit earlier because she just finished her open enrollment. And she said one of the good things about it was that they did a lot of virtual and that they also did a lot of talking to the older children of some of their older working employees that didn't really understand benefits. So the older child was getting involved in the process. And that happens if they have older children and they want them involved, they may be making the decision. Also, establish a time frame during the week that employees can call into and ask questions of them. You just set up a Zoom meeting and anybody that wants to join can join, or you can have them make reservations for it so that they're there the whole time, but they can tune in and ask questions of you or the broker. And that would be an easy way to get their questions answered without taking up a ton of your time. So right now, what should employers be doing? Well, the first thing you need to do is prepare now. If your open enrollment's in October, don't wait till October. Start preparing now, getting the slide presentation put together, understanding how to use Zoom or Teams or whatever your company uses, and then decide if you're going to have an active or a passive enrollment this year. If you haven't made any changes in your plan, particularly if it's only a cost issue, then or no changes at all, a passive enrollment is the best way to go because it requires very little time on your part and the employee's part. Consider adding technology to the process. I don't know how many of you have a benefits platform and use that. We do currently, in fact, we just added a benefits platform to pay entry. So if you're interested in having online enrollment for your benefits open enrollment, you still have time to talk to us about adding that as a feature to your account. Just get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch with the right people. And involve your broker and consultant to develop and present these benefit overviews. Seriously, you're paying them and they need to be helping you communicate this. And sometimes the carrier rep will do it for you. But if your broker does it, they can cover all of your plans at once instead of just the health insurance plan. Use virtual meeting software to hold your enrollment meetings and go ahead and learn how to use that now so that you're a pro by the time your open enrollment meetings come around. And then get on your mark, get set, go. It's one of those times of the year where you just get out of the HR person's hair, leave them alone, and hopefully this won't be one of those years for you. So do you have any questions? If you do, you can type them in the questions box, or you can unmute yourself, I believe, and ask out loud. I think I just unmuted everyone, but if you, so you would need to take yourself off of mute if you have a question to ask. Remember, you will get a copy of this slide presentation, and you can use it to inform your other managers that need to know more about open enrollment. Or if you have any questions that you come up with after the session is over, please make sure to get in touch with me. That's why I'm here. I am a part of the service that Pay Entry provides for you. And you can talk to me at any time or email me. My email address is cgram@payentry.com, pretty easy. Also, remember that we do have a division called HR Services, and we can help you with any projects that you have, or if you feel like you need a virtual HR manager. Well, we wanted to let you know that we are adding some training to the mix. Starting this month, we will be providing harassment training for companies or the employees of companies, and you will be getting some information on that later. If you want to go and pre-register for our information on that, you can do so on our website. Just let us know by shooting us an email or letting us know your interest level, but we will be doing that for employees and supervisors. And in California and the other states that require sexual harassment or harassment training, our training will meet the standards of those states. So you can be assured of compliance. I know that there is a new requirement in California that temporary people and seasonal people be trained in sexual harassment, or not how to do it, but how not to do it. And that will be something that we will stress in California, is that remember to train your temps and your seasonal employees. So let us know if you have any questions about the training or today's webinar, and we will see you virtually next week on our webinar. And that webinar will be talking about Brianna Grimes, our senior advisor, will be talking about the changes that have been made to the FMLA forms. You'll really want to tune into that. So if you haven't registered, go to our website, payentry.com/webinars, and sign up there. Thanks for attending today and have a great afternoon.